There we go. There we go. Okay, welcome everyone to the Restoration Estimating Crash Course, aka Xactimate Crash Course, but we can't call it that officially because I get calls from Lehi, Utah when I do that. So let's see here. That's not working. Let me go with, can we do the speaker view? Full screen. Why is Joe front and center on this? That's interesting. Well, we're going to have to just go fine. You know, sometimes it just doesn't work. Follow host view. No. All right. We're going to go gallery. I'm going to share my screen here shortly anyway, so it's going to be a moot point. But first, let's get some background. Let's get some background out of the way and set the tone for the next 3 days. This is not an Xactimate certification course. You are not going to get a piece of paper. You're not going to be able to put Xactimate 1, 2, or 3 after your name and your email signature. But what you will get is the ability to be a little bit dangerous. That's my goal. I want you to get into Xactimate. I want you to mess around with Xactimate. I want you to understand that you can't break it. You really can't break it. So you go down a path, things start getting weird. The program starts crashing on you. Believe me, it happens, especially when you're starting using Sketch. It has a tendency to just crash a lot. Start over, save early, save often, and just keep moving. Practice and mistakes are how we all learn. That's how I learned. Ivan mentioned that he never took a class before. I didn't either. The first Xactimate class I took was level 3 cert 4 years ago with Actionable Insights because they invited me to come down and participate in the class. But I didn't even bother to take the certification after class because I don't see the point. Xactimate to me is a tool. I use a tool to make money. I don't need, I've never been asked for my certification, just like I've never been asked for my IICRC certs. I've never been asked to show my WRT or ASD or MRT or anything else. So I don't see the point. I don't need a certification from Xactimate to know what I'm doing. So that's how I operate. You are going to be slow. When you start out with Xactimate, Beth, this is for you. Just accept you're going to be slow. It's going to take some time, but you will get faster over time. And hopefully I'll show you some shortcuts over the next couple of days that'll save you a lot more time. Don't fall in love with any estimate. It will never be perfect. I like to take the butcher approach. Does a butcher fall in love with a cut of meat? No, he does not. He hacks off the fat, he wraps it up, he ships it out the door. That's what we're in the business of. We're in the business of shipping estimates out the door because we can't get paid. We can't start work until that estimate's out the door. If we spend 4 hours trying to get the format perfect, well, that's 4 hours we could be doing something else. Get it good enough. Get it to a spot where you know you're going to make your margins, where you think you have enough money in it. We'll address that a little bit later. And then get that sucker out the door. The first estimate to the table in a negotiation between an adjuster and a contractor usually wins. You want to start the conversation. Your goal should be to get that estimate out faster than the adjuster can, so you can have a conversation about your number, not their number. Let's talk about the bucket of money. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Share screen, the whole thing. So I apologize ahead of time for all y'all who are not on a 40-inch 4K TV. That's the size I'm using. Okay. Where is here? Can everyone see that? Just give me a thumbs up or something. Make sure I'm staying on track here.
Are you going to share this stuff with us as well? Sorry to interrupt.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So
And
don't.
is this being recorded for us to go back and watch it again, or no?
Yes. And you will have not only this recording, but you'll have access to the previous recording I did last July.
You are the man.
Yeah, I try. All right. So this is a speech I give to a lot of my new clients. I onboard a lot of new restoration companies, help them through the process, with the goal ultimately of being so I can write their estimates into perpetuity and they never have to hire a project manager or an estimator again. But here's the breakdown. On the emergency services, on the mitigation side, your invoice is what it is. Whatever you put into Xactimate is not an estimate, it's an invoice, because you went off of whatever your tick sheet said, whatever your equipment list said, whatever your labor, whatever your time card said. You put that into Xactimate, that ships out the door, that's an invoice. That's cost incurred to the client. Very different than the estimate you're going to create for the repairs. I call the repair side STR. Some people call it recon. That is an Xactimate estimate. And that is, what is that? That's an agreement on the loss scope. That's why it's important, if you can, you want to walk that job with the adjuster to have at least a rough understanding of what the total scope is going to be. It's an Xactimate estimate, and it's a settlement agreement. What you're doing with that, Xactimate document is creating a bucket of money. Usually that bucket of money equals the amount of your contract you're going to have with your client. That bucket of money is not the actual scope of repairs. Remember, Xactimate on the recon side, on the STR side, Xactimate is a settlement document tool. It is not a hard and fast contract that you will do these items. It's just a way to develop that bucket of money. Your actual repair scope and your actual contract is done after that agreement. After the insurance company pays that, you could write your contract on a napkin. It doesn't have to be an Xactimate at that point. Often it is. Often we stay in Xactimate because we're familiar with it and we know how to work it, but it doesn't have to be. Supplements are added to you're adding money to the bucket with the supplement. And that's why if you have it in Xactimate, you can look at, okay, what was the scope we had for our settlement? Was this item in our original scope? No. Okay, we're going to supplement for it. We're going to add that to our original scope. And we're going to do that via change order. Sometimes we do a change order. Often I recommend doing a change order along with your Xactimate estimate at the same time. So you're telegraphing to your client, our contract is increasing because our scope has increased. And I'm going to write it in Xactimate so I can go get some more money from your insurance company. Bucket of money. Okay. Any questions on that? Good. Let's come back here. Let's come into these notes here. If you guys you guys familiar with Evernote? I kind of like it and I kind of don't. So covered that. Let's talk about Xactimate theory. What the hell is Xactimate? Is Xactimate a guarantee that you're going to get paid from the insurance company? No. Here's a quick hint. All the answers are no. Is Xactimate legally required to settle an insurance claim? Negative. Is it needed to close and sell jobs? No. And that's a big problem a lot of younger, early project managers have, is they have this tunnel vision that they have to have Xactimate in order to sell the job. It couldn't be further from the truth. Is Xactimate used outside of the restoration industry? Hell no, because it's too complicated and it's not, people don't understand it. And no, it's just not. There is no policy or law in the land that mentions Xactimate. or any other specific way of estimating losses. If you've ever read a policy, and I invite you to read several policies, you will not see Xactimate in there. You will not see a requirement that a contractor or a homeowner put anything in any specific format. Why do we use it? Because it makes it easier. We're working with apples to apples comparisons. The insurance company already speaks the language, but keep in mind, Xactimate has never been on trial. People have tried. People have tried to sue Xactimate. People have tried to bring Xactimate into bigger suits with carriers, but it never stuck. So Xactimate, if Xactimate's never on trial, that tells you how important it is to our overall process. It's not really. It's only as important as we make it. All right. Xactimate is not a sales tool. Xactimate is a great cost estimating tool. I'm going to show you that in a second. But first, let's talk about margins. This is messy. So I'm going to pull up an Excel spreadsheet and show you something. First off, I'm going to show you this. I've got this. I've got this little thing. See if we can get it in focus. Yeah, sort of. Let's bring some light to the subject. There. Well, you can't really see it, but oh, there it is. So there's one side is markup, the other side is margin, or yeah, profit margin, gross profit. You will notice those numbers are not the same. So if I have a 20% markup on my work, I'm building in a 16.67% margin. 16% is not enough money to sustain a business. Most businesses have an overhead of 20%, right? So at 16%, you're four points behind the 8 ball and you haven't made any profit. So the gross profit needs of a company are usually north of 35%. But let's show you, for you guys that haven't been through this exercise before, let me zoom in, zoom. Let's take a hypothetical project of $10,000. 10,000. Let's make all these dollars. And if I mark it up 20%, that's a percentage. Mark up my 10,000. I'm building in $2,000, right? For a total sale of, but if my costs on that $12,000 sale are $10,000, what is that 12,000 divided by, I always get this backwards, divided by the 10,000. I think it's the other way around. Yeah, it's the other way around. What is the 10,000? No, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. So our total profit is $2,000. So 2,000, that's what it is, divided by my total sale. And that's a percentage as well. There's my 16%. There's my 16.67%. You guys following along? So when an adjuster says you made 20% on that job because you marked it up 10 and 10, I say, no, I did not. No, I did not. Hold on. We got a couple more people in the room. Welcome.
I can only see you. I can't see the.
Thanks. I got to reshare. You're right. You're right. There it is. Okay. So we got a $10,000 cost. We're marking it up 20%. We got a $2,000 profit, total sale of 12,000 bucks. That $2,000 profit is a 16% gross profit. If I need 20% to cover my overhead. Now I messed all these up because I put them in the wrong format. There. I need 20% to cover my overhead. I need to aim for 10% profit. So if I have a 10% gross profit, or 10% net profit is what I'm going for, I need a total of 30%. I need 30% margin. 16% is not going to get there. So how do we get there in practice? Well, what we do is we become really, really efficient in what we do. We don't pay our employees what Xactimate says the wage is. And maybe, just maybe, we don't do everything on the scope of work. Or we beat up our vendors and get really good pricing. But you can't, that's not a good long-term solution. The better long-term solution is build in more margin. I advocate building in that margin by changing your pricing. You're allowed to change your pricing. Xactimate tells you to change your pricing. And Xactimate also says there is no overhead or profit built into any line item in Xactimate. Ever, 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 ever. And those of you in the Restoration Rebel group understand, I beat this to death because adjusters and carriers have this misconstrued notion of how much money there actually is in any Xactimate line item. They all think we make millions of dollars, but at a 16% margin, I can't make a dollar. I'm not making any money at 16%. So I've got to boost my pricing. I've got to go into my pricing and up that. We're not going to go into the pricing module in this class, but it's something you might want to look at. So we got a first question.
I don't know how to do it across the board.
It means STR. Yeah, structure. STR is structural. Yes, as in repairs. Correct. I'm going to move that over to this other screen. Boom. Okay, we got a couple more people in the room. Welcome. We're not going to stop and introduce you, but we'll give you a chance tomorrow's class to introduce yourself. Let us know where you're from. Okay, so how do I know that Xactimate is a really good cost estimating tool? Because I've played with it and I've dug into it. So we're going to talk about the component yield cost model. Where does your pricing come from? I'm going to open up an Xactimate window and show you. But I'm going to share my screen first. I don't need that. Please don't save. Where's my Xactimate? Boom. I'm going to open, we're going to play with the Sutherland estimate. Sutherland is a job I did in the Bahamas after Hurricane Dorian went through. So we're going to look at the Matterport scan on that a little bit later. But I want to show you what goes into any given line item. Let's pick a closet and let's do some repairs. We're going to paint this closet. We're going to clean the walls first. Clean walls and ceilings. Then we're going to mask, and then we're going to paint.
Does Andy, does that Matterport scan do that drawing on the right hand side there? Is that what it looks like in the dollhouse view?
I'm gonna move this screen over here. That's a dollhouse view in Xactimate.
Yeah, I know that, but when you do a Matterport scan, I've only just started doing Matterport, but it does the regular top down view. Does it also do a dollhouse? Will it scan into a dollhouse in Xactimate?
Not directly, no.
Yeah, it's just it just gives you the 2D whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll talk about, if we get to it, we'll talk about the mechanics of how this beautiful thing here transfers into Xactimate. But let's look at the cleaning. Let's open that sucker up. If you're in here, any line item, you click on this little button here, and it pulls up the pricing. You hit the I right here, and you can start to dig. So what we see in here is 30 cents of labor per unit and 0.8 cents of general purpose cleaning chemical. So what Xactimate does is it figures out what the yield is. You can click on assembly info and figure out how much that is. It'll tell you how many square feet you can get done in an hour. This is saying 128 square feet an hour. And that's what Xactimate bases this price on. And they've done a ton of research. They understand this stuff at a deep level. And generally, their yields are correct. And their pricing is correct. And you'll see here, so the wage is 11 cents of that. So 11 cents per square foot is your labor. And then your burden, this 0.06 is insurance, workers' comp, direct labor related burden stuff. None of it has to do with business overhead or anything like that. So this burden and overhead is labor related costs, workers' comp, insurance, other stuff. They build in, they're building in 19 cents. This is not overhead. This is not profit. This is just your yield for this particular line item. So can you do this cleaning with no markup? Can I send a guy out here to clean this closet for $123? Probably not, because he's got to get in a truck, and I got to put gas in that truck. I got to insure that truck. I got to drive that truck across town. I got to pay him for his time to get to the job. Let's look at that assembly info one more time. Labor assumption. And I invite you to, when you're playing around in Xactimate, read everything, click everything. Here's the supporting events on this particular line item. Labor assumption is based on an 8-hour day with 5 minutes of planning, 30 minutes of drive time and material pickup, drive time and material pickup. Get that. 20-minute breaks, 15-minute setup and cleanup of tools and equipment. That 15 minutes is what adjusters love to say. Well, that's the cleaning. They're cleaning up after themselves. It's including in the line item. Horseshit. It's not. And debris removal and floor sweeping and vacuuming immediate workspace. That is not worksite cleaning. That is not general progressive cleanup. So I don't know. I don't care what market you're in, but 30 minutes is not going to get my guys to a job site. So right there, the underlying assumption of this particular line item precludes any drive time, really, because let's say it is a half hour away, but what about the return trip? What about the trip to the store to pick up materials? You can't do that with 30 minutes in a day. You need more. So what I oftentimes do is I come into here, and I can select all these. So when you're in any room, you click the first one, and you can hold shift and click the next one. And click the last one, it'll select them all. Or you can come over to this side, to the grouping side, do the same thing, hold shift, select them all. But I want to go to the supporting events. I'm going to say that this is a little bit off. I need to, these guys are just not that efficient. So I'm going to increase this to 0.33. Because I feel if if a demo labor guy is only 33%, that's a percentage of your overall day. It's an 8-hour day. So 100% is 8 hours. So every percent is 5 minutes. I think there's going to be at least that much wasted time in a day. And if Xactimate says a demo guy is this efficient, why is a cleaning guy more efficient than a demo guy? Same thing here. The water labor efficiency is 18%. Why is that 18%? Because Xactimate knows and the carriers know that this is one of the most commonly used items. So they can squeeze this thing for more money. They can squeeze money out of this thing. But I'm going to put it at 0.33. Now you can do this on a, and then this is wasted materials. This, the materials down here. You can do this on a estimate basis, or you can do it in the pricing module. I don't know what the pricing module looks like in X1. That's why the disclaimers earlier on. All right. So John, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, I did. I have a question. Like I taught myself Xactimate kind of in the situation with Mike, family-owned company, 1912, blah, blah, blah. I taught myself Xactimate, and I've never messed with the prices, only the pricing ratios, the percent,
Yes.
only on a job to job basis, to where, I just said, okay, I can't do this for that much, and I made it that much more. Is this done by, do we have to go into each line item, or can it be done across the board? Or when you say, I have so many questions from here. When you give it to an adjuster and you're giving them your ESX file, and he goes and sees that everything's in green, he's going to go and say, you changed all of these pricing. And then there becomes a conversation starter, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. I like to change the pricing in the pricing module. Now, once again, I don't know what it looks like in X1, but I do know.
I don't have X1. I have 28. I haven't switched over yet. So this is a price I put together for New York after the recent. I got a client in New York that wanted me to boost this by I think it was 40% across the board. I think I did. What did I do? So what I do is I come in here. This is the regular one, and I factor it. And I factor the component pricing. Oh, you can't edit an Xactware price list. That's why you got to duplicate it first. Oh, so you just duplicate the entire price list and factor
it. X2, yep. Come on, computer.
Raise everything 30%. Now do the adjusters see that and go, hold up, wait a second, why'd you do that?
Some do. But it
do
doesn't
they
turn.
Not catch it, some of them.
If you do it this way, yeah, whatever, and you can do market conditions if you care to. But if you do it this way, all the pricing does not turn green. But keep in mind, it's only green if you have the ESX file. It's not green in a PDF.
Yeah.
So that's how I like to do pricing. But I also, if I was running a company, I would dig into this. I would go into the pricing, and I would go into my most commonly used materials. Let's go RFG 300. And I would open my RFG 300. Yeah. And, oh, this is supporting events. Sorry. But that's what so 5% waste is figured. Hell no. It's closer to 20% waste. Right? And you just pick your paint is another one. Let's go PNTSP. PNT. I can't find it. Anyway, there it is. Paint. 5% waste. Guess what? I can't reuse that gallon, and I can't buy less than a gallon. So I'm going to play with this percentage because It's closer to 35%. Because I mean, if I kept all that paint, I'd have a warehouse full of half-used paint buckets. And you go into Xactimate and you try to do, one of my favorite things is the paint two colors. What I realized when I was using the paint two colors, I thought it added labor as well, but it doesn't. Or added materials, but it doesn't. So even if you do a paint two colors, it does not add additional material. It does not realize that you got to buy 2 separate gallons of paint to do that one room. So you gotta be conscious of this stuff. There is bias built in to the system. So, all right, let's I'm gonna close this out. Let's answer a couple questions. Okay, Mike Hall, what's up?
When you change that percentage in the wastage factor, let's say paint SP is 82 cents a square foot. What does that change the price to, average?
Well, you can run the experiment, and that's what I do. Let's come in here and change the price. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but here's where you change the price in Xactimate. Oh, first off, I like to use the carrier profile. You see this carrier profile down here that allows me to do a whole bunch of other stuff. But let's change. Checkpoint price list doesn't really mean much to me. I honestly don't know why it's there. There's got to be a reason. It's probably a program of some kind. Well, let's do the New York. What did we just do? New York, come on. Okay, let's go to smart list. This will be all right. Change it to all price lists. Okay, New York, W, there it is. So let's do the one I just did. I factored it and then I changed some efficiencies on paint. So let's do that, blah, 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 reprice. Okay, so this gives us our baseline, but I want to know how it affected that particular item. So just follow along. You will get this. I don't want to lose anybody. I'm going to come back to this closet and paint, seal and paint. So right now, 399.25 square foot. It's $150. And it gives me 598. So let's just remember that $150. Okay, and then we're going to come in here and reprice this thing back to air quotes normal. New York. Oh. And then there's the unadulterated price list. Hit OK. No tax. Reprice. Yes, please. Okay. Okay, we dropped $3,700, but let's go into that particular line item. Here's my closet. 49-cent difference. We didn't change the material pricing. We just changed the yield. We said you're not getting as much paint. You're not, there's more waste built in than what Xactimate says. Keep in mind, Xactimate pricing is an average. No one, if they were independently pricing themselves and their companies and their services, no one would end up at the Xactimate price. Everyone would be higher or lower. And my guess is most folks will be higher because there's an artificial feedback loop. Part of the class materials that I gave you guys is the actual Insights white paper on the history of Xactimate. Very interesting stuff. There's a negative feedback loop built into the Xactware ecosystem that keeps pricing at where it's at. There's because the vast majority of pricing feedback that goes back to Xactware comes from programs and program vendors and adjusters. Only about 5 to 10% of all of the estimates that go through Xactware system come from contractors. And the vast majority of those contractors aren't changing their pricing anyway. So Xactware has a system to take feedback, pricing feedback, and adjust pricing, but no one is changing the pricing, so the price never changes. And that's how we get a $26 a day air mover 20 years later. But people don't want to know that. That's an inconvenient truth. Okay, I'm going to make sure everyone's still in the room. Okay, so wages, every line item, usually every line item has a wage component, labor burden component, a yield or an efficiency, and then material cost. And material has a yield as well, and an efficiency as well. Equipment has no labor in it, and you can show that, you can see that pretty quickly. Why is John's question still sitting here persisting? You're persisting. Answer live. Done. Okay, there we go. Interesting. Never used that function before. Okay, 2:50. 10 more minutes. We'll take a break. Okay, come back. So we covered Xactimate theory. We covered what is Xactimate and margins. Now let's talk about sketch and the room variable. Why do I love sketch? It's because I'm lazy and I like it when things are automated. I'm going to share my screen again. These are notes from the previous class, so they're scribbled. So inside every sketch, you can pull any of these variables. I'm going to pull up the Xactimate screen just for funsies. Oh, this one has, okay. I had an empty one up earlier before. Okay, so this is why it's so important to have sketch, because once this model is built, I can pull any variable out automatically using an equation rather than trying to figure out how long is that room and I'm typing in 8'3", right? Or, how tall is that ceiling? It's 10 foot. I'm typing in 10 foot. I don't do that anymore. I just not worth it. What I can do is if I want to mask this perimeter of this floor, there we go. You can see this automatically comes up. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. PC is perimeter of ceiling. Interesting. What's the difference between the perimeter of ceiling? Here, you can mouse over any of these, and the linear feet of floor perimeter. What's the difference there? The doors. The door opening is going to reduce the linear feet of your floor perimeter. So that's why this is a good number for painting baseboards, right? Paint base, 2 coats. Perimeter of floor, great number. Paint crown, CW it. Perimeter of ceiling. If I'm in this closet and I want to paint that closet package, CL closet shelving single shelf. It's one of my favorites. LL, the length of the longest wall. I don't have to know how long that is, because most closet shelving goes wall to wall, right? So in lieu of writing these things down by hand, I can just say paint shelf. Which closet is that, by the way? Closet. Oh, close. Yeah, 8'3" versus 9. That's close. Actually, technically, this is 2 closets. We're going to see that when we get into the Matterport. So maybe we'll change that. We'll change that into 2 closets. So it should be 8'3". But you get my point. Play around. One of my favorite things to do is on roofing. If you get an eagle view, you get a roof shots report. We're going to have roof shots on tomorrow. my good guys over at Certify/Roof Shots, they'll give you roof reports and they'll give you an ESX file to go with it. It's phenomenal. It saves me a lot of time as an estimator. Let's put in a roof. Let's just put in a roof. Nice big roof. As you'll see, this roof is a little bit more complicated, but we're not going to get into that for this class. So I've got my roof in here. If I want to replace the fascia, P&T or fascia, yeah, okay. I'm going to do the perimeter of that roof, P, perimeter, or the eave, 55 feet of eave. I don't need to know how long it is, as long as I can rely on that estimate or that sketch that I'm getting from my vendor to be accurate. I don't care what those individual numbers are. I don't have to put them in anymore. Ridge, right? RF. Come on, RFG. Ridge vent VEN? No. Ridge cap, fine. Look at that, R. That gives me the link to the ridge. Keep in mind, if I put another roof on here, when you're sketching, some asshole, I got to tell you a quick story. So I was working for this company earlier on in my career. Well, that's 5-6 years in. And I did not know that when I put something in, I could just hit tab and rotate it. I had no idea. So I went to this guy and said, how do you do that? How do you? And he said, I'll never forget it. He said, well, I can't tell you all my secrets. And I was like, screw you, man. We work for the same company. This industry has a problem with thinking that we all know the secrets. We all have this secret sauce that we hold on to tightly. And the fact that he was giving me a hard time about showing me a shortcut in Xactimate when we worked for the same company just goes into the mentality of a lot of restorers. So I like to break that down. We are in this together. There will never be enough of us. So if you can show someone something that'll save them time and make them more efficient at their job, I don't care if they work for your company or not, show them. Make us all better. Rising tide floats all boats, right? Okay. Rant over for now. Let's get back in here. So we got 2 roofs. Let's talk about valleys. I'm going to put another roof in here. And hit tab. Gonna just put it there. This is 1. Yeah, whatever. How did that even work? I gotta tell you, I don't know how I did that. Let's put in a hip. Let's put a hip off the front end here. That's gonna be ugly as sin. But we're in a special part of the country where we need, we got valley metal, right? If I go into my estimate, into my roof, and I try to put valley metal in there, valley metal, I don't know the code offhand. So here's a little secret. We can pull this down and look for it, or cancel. This is one of my favorite screens right here. Search button, search tab. Beth, that's going to be your friend. The search tab is going to be your friend. Valley metal, boom, it came right up. But maybe that's not the right one. I just put valley in here and hit search. It gives me the whole list. Let's expand this a little bit. But let's do valley metal. I'm going to put that in. Why did it come up with a 0? There's 0 valley there? What do you mean? I can see the valley. I can see there's 4'10", 4'10", 8'9". What's going on? What gives? Well, it only figures your valleys if they're part of the same roof. So every subsequent roof needs to be a subgroup of the original roof, roof 1. Okay, this is the I double click on it, or I select it and there's the properties button, pull that up. This is a subgroup of roof one. Then when we come back to our estimate tab, grouping, there's not 3 roofs there. It's all one roof. And, oh, my valley's gone because I put it in a different roof. Fine. RFG. What's the code? See, I just VMMTL. I do not have this stuff memorized, but there you go. 32 linear feet of valley. The other thing I like to do on roofs is figure my ice and water shield using a calculation. You can do that if you have it sketched. So ice and water barrier. It needs to be 2 feet wide times the perimeter plus the valley times 2 feet. Is it 2 feet or 3 feet? 4 feet? Let's take a vote. Ice and water shield, 4 foot, 2 foot. Someone type it in chat. 4. Okay. Well, let's redo our calculation. So we want let's do this. Let's do the perimeter plus the valleys times 4 foot. Oop. Boom. How do I know it's 653 square foot? Because the computer told me to. That's it. Really hard to argue with math. Do you have to put it in the valleys? Well, yeah, check the manufacturer specs, bud. Right? Yeah, we could have an entire class probably on how to answer objections from stupid adjusters, but we're not going to do that today. So we are back at, LL, one of my favorites, WC, walls and ceilings, another one. I would invite you, if you're painting ceilings and walls, 2 different colors, they're always 2 different colors. So break up that paint, do the walls and then do the ceilings and do them both 2 colors. At least you get a little bit of bonus for the additional labor if it's not going to give you material. Because guess what? The sheen on your ceiling is always 90% of the time different than the sheen on your walls. So that means you got to get 2 different buckets of paint. Let's talk about the exterior before we move on. Exterior items. For the longest time, I was like, man, how do I figure the insulation in exterior walls? It's just a pain in the butt. And I would go in here. This view button is your friend as well. I like to see measurements. Wow, they're already clicked. View measurements. Okay, there we go. I would go in here and I'd write 22, 22.5, 17, 17.1, 39.6, and I'd try to figure out what my exterior, what the exterior walls were. But for insulation, just an example. If I come into this main level, all my rooms are underneath, right? I can do insulation in here. INS, BT4. No, walls are going to be 6 at least. Now, W will give you all the walls. EW will give you just the exterior walls. Tell me I blew somebody's mind. It blew my mind. I'll tell you that. I was like, thank God for that. It's just so easy. And once you know you can pull the variables from the exterior, it opens up, just makes you a whole lot quicker. Or you could drop in only some walls. Let's say that master bath, right? Master bath sometimes has insulation in the walls, right? For sound. BT, it's going to be 4-inch. Let's just pick one. I can come in here and pick that wall and that wall and that wall. And I already got that in the exterior. No. Anyway, those walls. I'll just put it in there because they're not going to catch it. 100 different ways to skin the cat. I like placing stuff via Sketch. We're not going to get into Sketch today any further than that. Any questions on any of that? All right, it's 3:04. We're going to pause for a break. I'm going to hit pause on the recording. Boom. Okay, so let's talk about water damage. Let's talk about WTR. I've got this thing called the 24-hour tech that I created when I was at Service Master in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm going to go full screen. Let's do that. And let's share my screen again. So you guys should have this. And if you don't, you will by tomorrow. Come on. Where's my share screen? Boom. So I wrote this while I was at Service Master because the owner, I was a GM, the owner just didn't think anyone deserved more than $9.50 an hour to suck poo out of crawl spaces. So I was training a new technician every third week. And, if they lasted that long. So I needed a way to quickly train someone to get me as the sole estimator, project manager of the entire company, the information I needed to quickly generate these invoices. So you have this in your stuff. But what I came to realize is memorizing water codes is a waste of time. You will, over time, get to know them. You will memorize them over time, but using a macro or something pre-built is dangerous in that it becomes a crutch and it puts you in blinders. Excuse me. This is the book. This is not what I was looking for. All right, there's a book. When you're using macros, you have a tendency to become lazy, and you end up not picking up the dollars that are sitting there. I'm looking for the checklist. There it is. 24-hour MIT pack. There we go. And yes, this is paper. And no, I don't have it electronically. I wish I could get somebody like Encircle or Dry Track or Job Docs. Job Docs is probably my best bet to get this digitized, but for now, it's not. So what I needed is somebody to quickly be able to jot down what they did on any job. And I organized it in a way that I thought jobs should be done, the order of operations of a job. So you'll see here, there's 3 rooms, and first thing we do is measure the room so we can do our drying calculations. Second thing we do is any extraction that needs to happen. Did we, you circle F for the whole floor, you circle 1/2 for half the floor. You mark carpet or weighted, and you go down this list. It's just a checklist. I prefer this over 5 pages that encompasses every single possible line item, because this is actually going to get done where I've worked places with 5-page long tick sheets, and they never got done. Well, they never got done correctly. Well, they never got done until 2 days later, which is way too long to document what you did 2 days ago at the kitchen table, whatever else. So once you get a system like this, I'm obviously advocating for this, but you don't have to use this. Once you get a system that you're used to, I know that I can go through this in 20 minutes later. I can generate an invoice because I just have these things memorized at this point. You won't have them memorized to begin with, so you will have to go into Xactimate with whatever tick sheet you have and say, I'll get you right to you, Kaylee. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get this up at this side by side. Come here. So let's do, if I don't know what it is, I'm going to search and I'm going to extract. Okay, one of those is what I want. Water extraction from carpeted floor. No, heavy because I made more than one pass. There it is. Boom. And if I have it sketched, I just use the F. Or if they extract a quarter of the floor, I can do F times 0.25 and get the same number. So yeah, Kaylee, what's up? Kaylee, your hand's raised. I see you. You want to type your question? Oh, didn't mean to click that. All right. I think I can lower your hand. Nope, you can. There you go. Okay. So that hopefully that answers the question on common codes. The reality is you're going to use a lot of similar things in your general conditions. Your first room. A lot of people put general conditions last. I put it first. You're going to have things like a service charge and a dumpster or a dump trailer or something like that. But the reality is MIT is not that complicated, and there's really not that many items. I'd rather you build it yourself than you know at a much deeper level. Build it yourself. And yeah, if you've got a mitigation invoice that you're happy with, use that as your template moving forward. Make it pretty, make it gorgeous. And then your next job, you just copy that and change the name, change the address, put in a new sketch or something like that. Actually, it wouldn't work like that, would it? Because if you deleted the rooms, you would delete the line items. So you open two estimates at the same time, a blank one, and you start copying and pasting. Anyway, but start with one you like. Start with one you've built and you've had success with, and then go from there. But don't build it into a macro, and don't just build these big long tick sheets that no one's going to really fill out properly. Okay. Okay, I got the answer. Man, what is going? I don't know what to do with this side thing. Forget it. We're back. We're back. Hopefully everyone has a beverage. Let's talk about, in the limited time we have, drop in versus item entry and the related item secret. The related item. Is it this? Forgive me. Yep. There it is. Drop in versus item entry. Let's take a look. We're going to come in here. Drop in means you're using the sketch tool to drop in your items. I like to use the 2D view. You can use this view if you really want to. Excuse me. Well, what's in this room? First off, let's stick to a little bit closer to reality. This is, here's a little backstory. Hurricane Dorian hit this island called Ghana Cay. And on this island is a very exclusive, very ritzy resort called Baker's Bay. Baker's Bay is where if you have $1 gazillion and you are somebody famous, you have a house. This particular investment banker has a house, and he needed some help, needed an idea of what it was going to take to, let's make this big. Let's make it big. To put it back. And I needed a way to keep coming back to this house for revisions and supplements and things like that. The best tool, in my opinion, is Matterport. Matterport allows me to go revisit this job at any time in the future and measure these doors. Or measure this room. And it has really nice printouts like this. Come on. Oh, that's different. Ah, that's a color floor plan. Well, that's not as useful as this. So what I can do with these things is underlay these into Xactimate to get very accurate, very quick sketches into Xactimate. But we're not there yet. Let me back up. We came in this room to see what kind of floor there was. That is a, you think it's a real hardwood? Let's see. It's probably a laminate. Yeah, maybe it's a really fancy laminate. Let's just call it that. All right. So we're going to drop that into Xactimate. We're going to look for it first. This is a laminate. Cabinetry, FCW. Now, if it doesn't come up quickly here, we just hit search. It comes up with a longer list. And then I order it by the code. And so I can go down to FCW. Oh, did I pass it? Maybe it's not a laminate. Maybe it's an engineered flooring. Once again, I do a search. Engineered wood flooring, high grade. Yes, let's do that. So I click on that and I'm going to place that in this room, and actually went out through the whole rest of the house, right? But I don't want to do just that. What else do I need to do for that flooring? Here's the secret. Here's the related item secret. With this thing selected, I selected my, whatever I selected, and it comes up. You can see FCW LAMTD plus is selected. And when I mouse over a room, it'll turn green so I could drop it on the floor, but I'm not ready. I'm going to right click and see what else Xactimate thinks I may need when I drop that in. Let's see here. It was glued down. It was concrete. I'm going to add that. Oh, do I want to do the baseboards while I'm here? Well, sure. Why not? Is there a reducer strip? No, because it's all one floor. Is there any T-molding? Maybe. I don't think it's going to put a measurement in there, but it'll put a placeholder for me. Floor leveling cement, one of my favorites. This is one of my favorite fluff items of all time. You can always justify it, and it's really hard to define. So let's level that floor. No underlayment. So what we've done with our right click is we've given the ability to add 4 different related items. I'm gonna hit OK. Gonna hit boom, placed. And now let's go see what it did. Go over to estimate items, master bedroom. It's gonna be these last 4 in order. So yeah, T-molding, it didn't know what variable to use, but it did put something in there. So I'm going to say 2 of those doors, 2 of those 6-foot doors, right? Because these are, where are you at? Let's say there's a transition there. There's a 9-foot. Ooh, 9 foot. So let's go 9 plus 9. That's 18. Let's go 18 foot. Floor leveling cement goes on the whole floor. That is the related item. Now, if you want to go one step further, you go into this item, you go into item image and click for detail. This is a great place to look for other stuff that you may or may not think of. So what is included? engineered wood flooring, nails, installation labor, remove, discard, blah, blah, quality, blah, 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 nail down. I'm looking for a magic word called exclude. Doesn't have any exclusions. Okay. If removing glued down application, use FCWGADDC or FCWGADDW, right? We did that already, but if we hadn't, it's telling us we needed to add for that, which is great. So read all the descriptions, especially when you're new, when you don't know. Let's put something else in there. Let's put something interesting. Let's put some drywall in there. Let's put 1/2-inch drywall. And we're going to go with just one of those walls. So 1/4 of the total walls would be one of those walls. It's a little bit of cheating, I know, because we have these 2 big doors, but I'm not going to say anything if you don't. So what is included in this drywall? Drywall, corner bead, joint compound, nails, blah, 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 quality. For complete skim coat smooth surface texture, see dry 1/2 plus. That tells me this, this is average. This is not, and these walls were probably more the 1/2 plus than anything else. Simple finishes can carry between Just read through here. Material components are surveyed as a typical house stocked price as opposed to in-store shelf price. So that gives you a little bit of labor, theoretically, to bring the material there. Consideration may be needed for delivery outside of a normal service area. Small quantities, store pickup, blah, blah, blah. Estimator should verify that the material allowance is sufficient for the actual material associated. See, it's giving us all kinds of outs, and we need to use those outs if we need to. Guess what? This home, if I come out onto this porch, if I look that way, beyond this house is a beach. Beyond that beach is nothing but the Atlantic Ocean. This way, all the way to Africa. I mean, that's straight shot to Africa. If I go this way, it's about 300 miles to Florida. Do you think there's some special delivery fees involved getting this drywall here? I think there is. Oh, that house right there, the owner of the Baltimore Ravens lives there. Just a fun fact. Amazing house. That is a gorgeous house on the inside. Just phenomenal. Okay. So we got the related item secret. So you want to see a couple more related item stuff? You have to pay extra through Matterport to get that floor plan. Yes. Should we do that now? Let me see here. Where am I out of my notes? Yeah. Let's go there. So any questions on related items? I'm trying to think of one that has. Let's pretend you're doing a drywall flood cut repair. That's a 2-foot flood cut, 4-foot flood cut. Okay, we did a 4-foot flood cut. What is included? Corner bead, joint tape, blah, 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 labor, blah, blah, blah. Excludes heavy or complex texturing. All right, so if you get that, you need to add for it. Are based on common difficulties, replacing blah, blah, blah. If additional texture is needed to blend beyond the area being replaced in initial feathering or if more heavy or complex texture is being used over the entire surface, then additional line items or adjustments may be needed. This is not intended to be used in conjunction with the DRY patch LF or patch J. That's worth mentioning. DRY patch J. That is joint. That is a tape joint from old drywall to new drywall. So the proper way to do that, and that is what, $9.90 per linear foot. So I would do, what's our total here? 1076 plus 645. Somebody with math skills do that for me. We're going to try DRY 1/2 plus, and we're going to do the perimeter of the floor times 4, because that is our so, oh, I'm sorry. So it's either 1076 because that does not include, or that includes the patch J, or it's 825 plus 645, which is 1400. I'll take the 1400, Clark. So don't do the 4-foot flood cut anymore. Get rid of that. Do it. Do your half-inch board. Do the square footage, and then add patch J. That's what I would do. You make 400 more bucks. Okay, so let's talk about documentation. That's where we're at in my notes, right? That's right here. Yes, let's talk about documentation. I mentioned the 24-hour tech. There are other things out there. I mentioned Encircle, Dash, Mica, Iristore. The key with choosing any documentation system is it needs to be easy to use, and you need to be able to train your technicians to use it. And they need to be able to use it consistently. It just needs to be easy. So what do I use for measuring? Hover is a great one. Hover is doing some fantastic stuff. Now you can order an Xactimate. You can order an Xactimate roof and siding sketch using Hover. It requires a pro plan. I'm not sure what that runs per year, but if you're doing a lot of exteriors, I imagine it's well worth the money. Roof shots are my boys. If you do, there's a link, should be roof shots. Yeah, we'll send you the link. They will give you an Xactimate as well, but they don't do siding. That's their Achilles heel. And I keep telling them, you got to do siding because Hover's going to eat your lunch all day. Matterport doesn't do exteriors, not really well, at least. And the ESX file, you can order what's called a true plan. You can do that. Let's show you that. If I wanted to do that, I'm going to get out of this. I can download the floor plan. I think that's $35. The Matter Pack has a whole bunch of architectural stuff and point cloud stuff. Where is the true plan? Add-ons. There it is. True plan. And it's going to be, you can see the pricing right here. This house is probably a little over 4,000 square foot, so it's going to cost you $600. Or you get somebody like me, claims delegates, you send me the link, and I do it for less than $600. And I'll show you what I do. Let's do this. Let's do this. And I'm going to set a line. This is called setting scale. And I need to put 20 feet. Come on. This is the hardest part. 20 feet. Oh, come on. Let me zoom in. Come on, baby. Oh, almost had it. Boom, 20 feet. Okay, I got my scale. Then I'm going to go to my picture, my photos, and I'm going to make sure my measurements are included. Thank you. I'm going to take a photo, saving photo, view photo, download photo. Desktop is fine. That's a JPEG. So pay attention, all y'all who don't know how to do an image underlay. You're about to learn. What floor was that? What floor did I take? Is that the lower floor? Okay, that's the lower floor. Up here, there's a Q&A. Who do you have to pay extra? Oh, that's, where's these questions? Oh, here we go. How do we write that cost into the estimate, or does it come out of personal overhead? Tell me again. You mean the cost of, oh, the cost of the Matterport, the cost of the scanning, the cost of the, all that stuff? I charge for it. And you should too. You're going to have to fight for it. But the more times we charge for it, the more times I see it, the more apt, it's a job cost. I mean, they are requiring 9 times out of 10, they're requiring you to put it in the Xactimate in the first place. So if that's an additional cost to you, it's a job cost. It's open game as far as I'm concerned to put into your estimate. And there is a macro. I'll show you that macro in a second. Remind me if I don't, but I'm going to keep moving here. So in here, tools in your sketch, tools, options, import, underlay image. My Xactimate 28 is giving me fits, but it's working. I'm going to install X1 after this class. Or actually, probably in a couple of weeks after I get back from New Orleans. Okay, the image is too large and may cause noticeable slowdown. Do you want to resize? Yes, you always want to resize. Make this bigger. When you import an underlay image, it wants, the first thing you do is set your scale. So I'm going to zoom in as far as I can for accuracy. I'm going to click the center of my little marker. Get it as straight as I can. And then put in 20 feet. 20 feet. Okay. And look at that. Let's see how good I did with my previous sketch. Not quite. As you can see, I'm going to turn off the walls here. I don't know if you can see that or not. You can see this wall is outside of the actual. So let's pretend this room isn't here. Move this sucker out of the way. And I hit R, drop in a room, and boom. I don't care what the measurement is because I'm just tracing at this point. 1410 sounds about right. What I like to do is I go to round numbers, but I want to get the basics in first. 15.1. There's no room that's 15.1, just like there's no room that's 14.10. It's 15 and 15. But this will get us 90% there. And this is a closet. Wait, no. Oh, I'm turned around. This is not the closet. That's a bathroom. That's a bathroom. Now, I name them as I go. Bedron. And I can, if I want to pull a room right off of here, I think it's, I select this wall, just click it once, hold control, and then pull. Yes, the control button, and I just pull and make sure that room is straight off the other room. This is a bathroom. No, it's probably a closet. I don't know. And then I just keep going. I'm going to put a room right here. That's my entryway. And, I just start tracing. And this sketch is a pain in the butt and it can trip a lot of people up, but you just get into it, just use it. The key is just doing it over and over and over again. B is your brake tool. I'm going to put a brake right there, and I'm going to pull this wall out here. And the beauty of Matterport is if something doesn't quite look right, I can always go back and go, well, what's going on here? Let me close this. Give me in there. Yeah. So I'm building this as I go, and just for fun, I want to say, okay, there's no funny closet there. Come back here and just put that in. And I'm gonna drop another room. And I'm just tracing over the existing walls. You do the same thing. You do your export there. And this really, honestly, this is all anyone else is doing. This is what Matterport's doing. This is what any of the estimating services are doing. They've got an army of folks doing this all day, every day. But Matterport just wants too much money for it. In my opinion, you can get it done a whole lot cheaper. Or if you get the time, practice, do it yourself. Matterport is phenomenal. Let me show you my camera. How about that? Yeah. This right here is a Matterport camera. It's got 6 optical lenses, 2 offset 35 degrees up, 2 offset 35 degrees down, 3 lasers, same configuration. Sits on a tripod. This little thingy here spins. You use your iPad, you hit go, it goes zzz, 14 seconds later, it does 1 scan. If you guys, for those of you who haven't seen the Matterport app, I'm going to show you that. I wish I could go full screen on myself, but maybe I can. Nope. It's all right. I'm going to go into, just going to pick one. This is, where is this at? CSAA, Gavin. I have no idea. So you can see the little blue things. That's where everywhere the camera was set down and spun. So inside every single one of these little scans is a 360 picture. The software takes those pictures and sews them together and creates the model. And it's a game changer. I used it for the first time, Hurricane Florence, North Carolina, and I never looked back, except for when I got this. This little puppy. Oh, come on. This happens to be the Insta360 X2, brand new, playing with that. This allows you to scan without hauling around that big monster, that big monster camera, which is great for residential. This is a great solution for residential Matterport, as is this. This is the iPhone 12 Pro. My understanding is the Android, the S21 also has LiDAR built in, and you can use the Matterport app right on this phone. I don't like it. It's super slow and clunky, but if I'm doing 1 and 2 room losses, this is all I need. I don't need an iPad. I don't need a big clunky camera. I just need this. Great solution. What I like about it is I have clients that I give them my Matterport login. They do the scans. It uploads right to my account. I do my takeoff. And oftentimes, while they're driving back to the office, They've already uploaded the Matterport file, and we are working on the estimate. And they get it back in the next day. So that's the beauty of, my opinion, Matterport. What else do we have here? Okay, Q&A. Do we have to write that cost? Oh, let me show you. Okay, let me show you what Actual Insights recommends. Let's come back here, image underlay. I'm going to go ahead and delete that image underlay, and I'm going to delete this. So tomorrow, what we'll do is, what I'd like you guys to do is do an image underlay, and we will sketch something together as a class. And then we'll answer questions as we go. Hover, scoping. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's show you what Actual Insights believes you should do. So you can see my setup. Most of my estimates start with general conditions. I'd like to get that out of the way. This is stuff that's not specific to any particular room or level. If it's level associated, I put it in here. I don't put it in a room like I did with the insulation, the exterior insulation, stuff like that. General conditions, emergency service call, stuff like that. Macro. Here it is. Matterport series scans. Clunky, super clunky how they did it. But here is their justification. It comes with 3 different notes. So you got to copy this Matterport Pro Series 3D scan 0 to 1,000 square foot. You copy that. You change the, I'm just going to do it for you here. Copy. Come on, baby. Paste. That gets me my description. And then what else does it say in this? Pre-mitigation rendering of blah, blah, blah.
Where's all this at?
This is in the macro. It's built into the macro. So these are F9 notes stacked into the macro.
What macro? Who made that?
Actual Insights. But you're going to get a copy of it. This is all my macros on the left-hand side. You don't want them all. Believe me, I don't want them all. But I will give you the most important ones.
But this is only if you're using Matterport, right?
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, I mean, you could change the description to say whatever you wanted.
Okay.
So this, what you're seeing in here, for those of you who don't know, this little bracketed insured P street, insured P city, insured P state, those are called tokens. I use them often in opening statements. But anyway, let's stick with the Matterport for now. This you can take the link to the Matterport and paste it in here. That's the other thing I love about this. Check this out. Okay, we're gonna go deep dive. Okay, first off, let's wrap the class up, and then we'll do a deep dive on Matterport. How about that? What do you think? Let's answer any lingering questions before we go down the road. So we covered quite a bit of ground today. How many of you had Xactimate open on the side, or
I
y'all
did.
just, yeah? Are you playing?
Not really playing, but just kind of looking what you're doing. And I've been messing with Xactimate all for a long time, and I don't use half of the shit that you use.
Well, it doesn't make it good or wrong or indifferent. It just makes it different.
You just get used. I think that's why a lot of people are here. You get used to the things that you used to, and you don't know how much money you're leaving out on the table, and we're still making money. That's the funny thing of all of this.
That is the funny thing, because regardless of the margins that we think are built in, we're still making money somehow, some way. But there's still more money to go get.
100%.
All right, let me show you. We're going to go to Ninja. We're going to go Matterport Ninja now. So I had a large loss last year. So last year or year before? They're all running together. in New Orleans, a hospital, 5 floors, and that's right. Never mind. And I was tasked with scanning it, obviously, putting it into Xactimate and writing the invoice. We decided to do, instead of T&M, we decided to do the mitigation invoice in Xactimate. But what I ended up doing is my certified guys, I forgot they were going to come in today. I thought they were tomorrow. It's all right. It's going to have to be tomorrow. Yeah, I'll have to punt with him. Sorry, folks. Jeff Marcus will be here tomorrow. We'll talk about that.
Andrew, what time does this go to tonight?
It's over now. If you need to go. But we're going to talk about Matterport deeper here. Okay, so I had. God, he's really blowing me up. All right. Oh, tomorrow. Shoot. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. So what I did is I ended up linking. You can create a hyperlink to any spot in a Matterport scan, and you can paste that link into Xactimate. So let's check out the space first. Let me show you.
And Andrew, I had a real quick question on my computer with copy and paste. It says something about this Silverlight crap always that I can't copy and paste into a line item. Is there a way around that?
Oh, you're using the remote. You're not using desktop.
Okay, so that's why. Whenever I go over to X1, just do the desktop, and that'll cure that.
Yes.
Okay.
So I created this space, and these little dots here, as you'll see, these are called matter tags. So I hyperlinked between the floors. And I linked to this one, for example, I linked to a floor plan that they could pull up. But what I did inside the estimate, let's pull up Cura. Revised to 752,000. That was a good loss. So what I did inside this tour was I linked to a bunch of stuff, but I'm not going to show you in Xactimate. I'm going to show you in the PDF. Excuse me. Just throw it on my desktop. Yeah, my machine's really choking right now. Got a lot going on. I'm going to close out a couple programs. I've got 32 gigs of RAM in this too. Did it work? I guess it did. All right. I'm just going to close out and close out. We don't need Xactimate for the rest of the day. And I'm going to close that. Close that. Let's close all tabs. Yes. So I just put this guy here. I don't know if you guys are picking up on my nomenclature, but I like to name things so that it's pretty obvious what it is. This I named MIT Rev 2, which is the mitigation revised number 2. And usually I cut off that words that say abbreviated or final draft or whatever else. But okay, so in here, there's a very simple opening statement. I didn't get elaborate with that. But so I linked to a Dropbox with the photos, but I also linked to the Matterport tour. So click on that. And it'll take me to that first floor. But the other thing I did was there's a building tour. I clicked to the negative air machines because I wanted them to see they were actually there. So wait for it. Boom. That is a negative air machine. This one should be a different negative air machine. Boom. There it is. And they can continue the tour from there if they care to. And so I built this thing. There's the other negative air machine. So they could go to any floor. Yeah, there's we decided not to do masks. So yeah, this was post COVID. So it was last year. So you could go to any of those floors. Let's go to the 5th floor. Oh. And we can just look around everything. But that is where this type of taking the adjuster by the nose and walking them through the loss, that's going to be a problem getting through that, is the magic in Matterport, in my opinion. It allows everyone to be working on the same data set, and it's an undeniable data set. There's just no fudge here. There's no, that wall isn't that tall. Well, yes, it is. Let's go measure it together. No, very few losses with Matterport scans go to jury trial because the data is just undeniable. You can't argue with it. So yeah, tomorrow we're going to get into the steps I take of creating, writing an estimate, and we're going to start building one. So yeah, thanks for being here, guys. Any questions?
This was good. Thank you, Andrew. This was I have 2 guys here that, my one partner and a guy that we just brought on that's going to eventually be an integral part, but they both don't know Xactimate, but this was a really, really good intro to perk their interest, to go, oh my God, there's just so much to do in here, and the devil's in the details in this business. So
Sure is.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, we'll see you guys whatever time 2 o'clock Pacific is tomorrow.
5 p.m.
Good.
over here.
Be good, guys.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.